All right, welcome to BTN Plus, everybody. I have a special guest tonight, Kylie Burse. She is in Denver at Fox 31 now, but you might remember her from WCCO, where she was a meteorologist for that team. She joins us now from Denver with a personal story that I feel like a lot of people need to hear. Hey, Kylie.
Hey, thank you for having me, Jana.
Yeah, uh, Kylie, it was disturbing to read what's been going on with you in Denver. Can you tell me a little bit about what's been happening and why you started to share this publicly?
Yeah, so, started 3 years ago. It was just, as you know, normal viewer fan interactions. We welcome people, sorry, every day people welcome us into their houses, and it's so exciting and it's fun, and they feel like we're family and it's wonderful. But 3 years ago, with one particular viewer, it became a little bit obsessive, and then it became a lot obsessive to the point where after he was reaching out on 7 or 8 different Instagram accounts, all sorts of different social media accounts, then he started reaching out to my family, my friends, and then he showed up at an event, and that's when he told me he believed that I had been his wife. And this is a 69-year-old man. So I was able to obtain a temporary restraining order. And then 2 months later, he broke it more than 50 times. And I got a permanent restraining order, thought we were good to go. 18 months went by, and then he followed me home from work.
Were you scared?
Oh, I was terrified. I pulled into my garage. All of a sudden, he pulls up in a truck. There's no way I could have gotten my car out. I just remember thinking, if this man has a weapon, you've got to get down immediately. I didn't know. He ended up being unarmed with only a pocket knife, but I had no idea at the time. I ran inside. He had gone around. He started ringing the doorbell. I got my dog, called 911, and got out of there as quickly as possible. And when they found him, he was still sitting outside my house in his truck and was eventually arrested.
He knew he had a restraining order, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And not just the temporary, the permanent, that we had to go through multiple, processes within the courts.
And so I assume that that gave you some solace knowing you had that permanent restraining order in place and didn't expect to see him again.
It does and it doesn't, because at the end of the day, it's just a piece of paper. It's not something that's physically stopping them from coming to you, as I saw, just a couple of weeks ago. But I am glad that I went through all the different proper channels, because the police told me if I didn't have that restraining order in place, they only could have given him a ticket for harassment. So it gives you some peace of mind, but then at the same time, there's just so little you can do.
Right, because he willfully broke it by showing up to your house.
Oh, and he'd broken it 50 plus times before then.
So is it over now, or is it just a game of waiting until he breaks it again?
Well, that's what's scary. And I think what's really frustrating in this particular case is that he meets all of the guidelines for felony stalking. And for some reason, the DA that I spoke with here in Denver said it doesn't qualify because there was that year and a half break. And I looked at him, I went line by line through the law with him. I had lawyers look at the law with me and say, like, there's no timeline in this law. And so it completely counts as that. But instead, I was not able to convince him, and it was brought down to a misdemeanor. And he said, well, if he breaks it again, he'll for sure be in jail this time, which doesn't really give you any peace of mind. So yeah, it's just waiting. I'll see if he faces any jail time for the misdemeanor that he's on. But other than that, you're just kind of looking over your shoulder constantly.
And he's sentenced in November, correct?
He has his next court appearance in November.
I shared with you a story I had done with a few women here in Minnesota, on-air personalities, at one of our radio stations who had a similar experience. They were stalked by the same man until they just had had it and left the business to get out of the public eye, the one place that the person could find them.
Mm.
That seems unfair.
It's completely unfair. I think that you and I got into this, and I'm sure those women did too, to make a difference in our community. And we are very passionate about what we do. And I'm not going to lie to you, this has definitely made me reconsider if this is the business that I want to stay in. And he's not the only person that I've dealt with in the last couple of years. I have another restraining order against another gentleman where it didn't go quite as far, but there's been so many incidents where you just go, is my safety worth it? And at the end of the day, I don't know that it is.
But it shouldn't be the cost of doing business for you.
No, it shouldn't. And it's sad, but I want to be able to walk my dog without constantly head on a swivel looking for a truck that might be following me. So we'll see what happens. I'm passionate about what I do. I hope that maybe we can see justice served and I'll get back to a place of feeling comfortable again.
Have you gotten any assurances that this time it will be different?
No, there's nothing when I begged the DA to change his mind, he just said this doesn't count. It doesn't work. I've heard from so many other people since then, but I haven't heard from anyone in Denver law enforcement. I've heard from a lot of other incredible people in law enforcement in the justice system all around the country who are saying, I'm so sorry this happened to you. You know, we do take things seriously. So I do hope that by sharing my story, maybe a DA, a judge, someone hears it and understands how seriously stalking should be taken. Because I think sometimes you're just like, oh, someone's obsessed with you. What's the big deal? It's very, very scary and it's life-changing.
Yeah, and then we see, major celebrities deal with this. Taylor Swift comes to mind, who's had a stalker go to their home. Caitlin Clark had a
Yeah.
stalker arrested. This is serious stuff, and it can alter your sense of self and safety.
Absolutely. Well, and if you think about, I mean, Taylor Swift, I think I have a lot of resources. I mean, that woman has, all the money in the world, the best people on it. And if she can't get help with it, it's absolutely terrifying. And it's really sad. And I think that that's why it's so important when we hear about people as high up as Taylor Swift, as Caitlin Clark, a local news personality, and then all the other women that are dealing with this, and people too. It's mostly women, but there's certainly some men that have dealt with this as well.
Right. And what I took away from the story that I did with those women is there are gaps here when you follow the rules that are maddening
Yeah.
because it doesn't reach the level of XYZ. But then you have to beg the question of like, well, what level does it have to reach? Does it have to be physical violence for you to take it seriously?
I think that's the scary part. And I think that's what a lot of people have been told from law enforcement. And you hope that when you're in the middle of it, that you're not that next statistic. It's scary to think about.
Right. Because I'm sure when you were at your home that day and you're trapped, you're like, how does this play out? What do I do?
I had no idea. And I can just tell you, I hadn't read the police report, but I saw that the post they read how I was described as visibly shaken and scared. And the whole day is kind of a blur in some ways. But I do remember just being like my body was physically shaking in fear. I just didn't know. I didn't know that he didn't have a gun on him. I had no idea what this man wanted. I didn't know how angry he was at me for getting these restraining orders. Once you get a permanent restraining order in Colorado, you can't own a gun anymore. So I didn't know how mad that made him. So it was just horrifying.
What do you want for from going public? What's your hope that comes of this sharing of your story?
I hope that people, especially in the justice system, start taking stalking seriously. I want other women to know that they're not alone, and people too, everyone. I've heard from so many women who have experienced something like this, and it feels very isolating and very alone. I remember feeling extremely alone after it happened. And you're not alone if this has happened to you. It's horrible, but you're not alone. And I do hope that by sharing my story, that justice systems take things seriously.
Well, it took a lot of courage to do what you did, and I hope changes come.
I do too. Thank you so much. I really appreciate our conversation.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.